Yeah, we can start a show with a soul clap. Bring the soul back, hit a soul snap. You can hit the trap with a soul snap. If you really dare, you can hit a kick. Start a show with a soul clap. Angel cab, that's a cash, you know that. You can hit a trap with a soul snap. If you want love, Humble Roses party. Humble Roses, they cold, you know that. Oh snap, I got your Betty saying that I'm so different. Dallas came with a vision. The Latinas got the talent, so they use it with precision. Kel's voice echoes like reverb, cause you heard the trap, and that old shit is over. So turn that trash down, cause we here to crash now. Put you in a rose court, bet you ask how. Yeah, we can start a show with a soul clap. Bring the soul black, hit a soul snap. You can hit the trap with a soul snap. If you really dare, you can hit a kid. Start the beat.
World at my control, soul at my reach, God beneath my head, wind beneath my feet. It is I, the All-Father of the Humble Roses podcast. I am your host, Dallas Cash. Today I am solo, but never really alone. The reason why I am not alone, ladies and gentlemen, is because of who I have decided to align myself with today. Let's talk about it. When we talk about the Carolina territory, the North and the South, there are so many aspects and facets of territory wrestling that we miss. But it's also returning because of what's going on in modern times now. Look at who we have as our honored guest. Starting out as a prospect of the Russian Bear, Ivan Koloff. Basically a student of the game under the Dragon's wing for Ricky Steamboat. Not only a retired wrestler, not only an analyst, but a catalyst for what territory wrestling was. Not only just a catalyst, but a martyr of South Carolina's cornerstone. You think about the influence that he had during the independent scene from the early 90s into the late 90s. He decided to be part of the triangle. But at the peak of the triangle, he stood as a champion. Not only that, he stood up against what he thought was tyrannical, just a tyrannical bolero of fire. When Vince McMahon decided to end the territory wars, this man decided, nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be part of it. I want to make my own path. A man who carves his own path, flies like an eagle, but also understands the backbone of what it means to represent wrestling. A straight shooter, a man who comes from a combat background. Ladies and gentlemen, with flash and flare, fire and flight, we have the Man Eagle himself, Sonny Cain.
How you doing, man?
How you doing?
I'm here. It's been a day, but I'm here.
Hey, it's Rose Wednesday. Hey, Vanessa, Mr. Man Eagle is here. First off, I want to say it is an honor to have you here. So we're going to make this really, really nice for you.
Thank you.
So obviously, we know that the history. You started under Ivan Koloff. Training under him, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat basically got you to Ivan Koloff, and we went through that. I'm actually going to catch you from a blind side because you're not going to see this coming. I know you talk about the wrestling business a lot, but could you tell me just real quick, there is a show out there called Joker's Wild.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about Joker's Wild that you enjoyed so much?
The game show or the podcast show?
The game. When I had seen it, I thought it was the game show. Did you ever catch the Joker's Wild game show?
Yes, sir. It was simple. It was not. All about that's win the game. It was about playing the game. I thought the host did a great job in presenting the game to people. He was very casual, very laid back. He didn't get the fans overexcited. And if they missed, he'd simply say, try again. He was probably one of the greatest game coordinator people in the business. He probably beat mine's blank now, but he probably beat the Price is Right back in the day for being laid back. I mean, the contestants would go up there and just do their thing and get it going. And you hope to get a joker, but if you didn't, then everything was good. I mean, it wasn't like the end of the world like on some shows now, So
Understood. Now, I want to ask you a little bit about the Carolina territory. Now,
yes, sir. And I'd
coming
like to say, I was in the industry in the actual ring until about 2004, 2005. I went from
right,
92 to 2004 or 5.
that's a heck of a run.
Yes,
And
sir.
throughout that run, you had bounced around in many territories. Now, when Vince McMahon came into town, he basically cleaned up all of the territories.
Tore it up.
Tore it up. He put barbecue sauce on it, tore it up.
Yes, sir.
What was the relationship or what was the conversation that you had with him that you decided you didn't want to be part of what he was trying to do?
Well, I didn't actually have one with him, but who I had one with was Ricky Steamboat, and Ricky Steamboat also happened to be the road agent at the time when I first got into the wrestling business, and they wanted me to go in as a character called the Green Dot. Back then, we didn't have the internet, so I was like, "Well, how am I going to promote myself?" He said, "You're not." He said, "You're going to wear a green mask, green boots, and white shoestrings and ooze all the time." What we had back in the day was professional jobbers. These were fall men that lost. And I withdrew from that and said, not me. I said, you'll come back to me and talk to me about a full-time contract and show him my face. He said, why was that so important? I said, the same reason that you like to show your face. I said, so people can know you. I said, no, I'll be Sonny Cain. I'll be Sonny the Green Dot Cain if he was interested in doing that with me. He said he wasn't. I said, well, how's the local fanfare going to keep up with me? They're not, he said. I said, well, then I got one for you. I'm not doing it, because what they wanted was a part-time jobber who would probably have gotten full-time hours if he had been dumb enough to have accepted that offer, making top pay, which was around $250 a match. But the deal was, with no guaranteed money, how was I going to have a place in Florida at that time? And we didn't have a performance center. We had a on the road training, on the job training. And if you made it, they kept you. And if you didn't, you went what they called down, which was to the house shows, which that would have been better than making it, in my opinion. But anyway, a conversation that was had with Vince McMahon was in 2016 or so. My trainer, Ivan Koloff, went up for the WWE Hall of Fame honors and was told he was getting in it. And at the last minute, they didn't get him in, but he had a conversation directly with McMahon about me and asked him about me and said, what were my chances of getting into the WWE Hall of Fame? And McMahon had heard of me, and he said, well, I needed to be a little more of a standout and a little more work had to be done than just to than what I had done up to that point. So that's where I'm at now. I'm trying to establish my brand and get my name further out on these wrestling podcast shows in doing so. But my man did come in. So I'd stepped out to save a marriage that was going south at the time, because I was gone all the time and different things, and saw that was unsavable and tried to step back into the ring a little bit until about 2004 or 5. And what happened there was my man came in and not only said, I'm closing down the area, I'm buying the rings. So almost nobody had a ring here locally except for one or two promoters, and they ran Charlotte. And it was a sad day for independent wrestling. And that's when to me, the business went from doable as the blue collar worker business that it's always portrayed itself as being to non-doable like it is today. And I'm assisting a guy that I'll bring his name up now if I can in a minute, called the Master Luca. I write about him on my X from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's on his second year in the industry tearing it up because I've given him some pointers along the way, and I actually know him like I've know you now. And we talk on the phone all the time, and he's coming to meet me this summer in person for the first time. We met on Russell Dad's podcast before the band decided to go into wrestling. And apparently I'm giving Luca pointers that his trainer's not. So, you know, and you have to help the next guy. That's what it's about. That's what making it is about. But could you imagine trying to make it in an industry where overnight it just shuts down and goes dark? And not only here, South Carolina, Virginia went dark too. You almost had to go north to wrestle. And I had a job at the time, but I didn't have airfare money. And that was the difference between my friends, the Hardy Boys, and I. They had made enough money at that point that they could continue to promote themselves outside the state, and I could not. And so for about 10, 15 years there, nothing was happening except some meet and greets through Uncle Ivan, who I affectionately call Uncle. He's not my real uncle, but that's how I referred to him in life as. And I went to some meet and greets and caused a stir there where people had heard of me some. And then came the podcast later. So, you know, you've got to be open-minded to reinvent yourself in this industry. You should never stay one thing all the time. Now, I've been constant as the Man Eagle since 95, but you know, a lot of times guys will flip their names back and forth, and fanfare finds it hard to follow. But now they at least have the internet, and they can go and see where they've had 10, 12 different names. But when I was being mentored by Ricky Steamboat, we called him Steamer. He said, try and keep the same name. So I would always keep Sonny Cain, which is my last real name, and Sonny's my family nickname. And I would put in whatever the thing was in the middle, like Rick Nature Boy Flair, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And Steamer actually said, well, my name was similar to his. I said, how about that? Surprise. I said, that's the point. I want my face to be known. He said, why? I said, I want the damn money. I said, I'm after the bucks. I said, he said, who you been talking to? I said, Wahoo McDaniels. And I said, now, if y'all want to come back to me in a few years after I've been out here and talk a real deal with me, by all means, come on back. And of course, they never did because the league shut down. But that's where it was back in the day with wrestling. And that's my irritation with the business now, Dallas. It doesn't look as doable now as it did back in my day. In my day, it looked like anybody could do it. That went to the gym and really wanted to get into the industry. And today it's just a different animal entirely, in my opinion.
And not only that,
I got a soapbox.
No, it's okay. Not only that, I think that there's like many elements of the old school mentality missing. I'd like to bring you back to a match that I'm pretty sure is one of the reasons that you're here today. And why you started wrestling. Let's take you back to Sting versus Flair, 1989.
Yes, sir.
Starrcade. Classic match. I think it, like, in my opinion, it's, if we made of one of the greatest wrestling matches of all time, it's like top 10, top 20 for me. The impact that Flair and Sting have had on you today. Is there any advice that you got from either Sting or Flair or even Ivan Koloff that still holds up today?
Well, Sting was real nice when I met him in 1989 at the Dorton Arena. I've got his picture on the wall with no makeup on behind me. I met him that night, and he was very inviting and said, "Come on down." My mother, Dorothy Cain, they called her D, dated Ric Flair for 4 years, and unbeknown to me, periodically thereafter, I knew that they had had a 4 year run, but I did not know that they continued to interact beyond that time. And Flair sat me down at the table one night over supper, and when he saw I was real serious, and I was about, I don't know, 12 years old or so, and told him that I was going to do this. And he tried to talk me out of it. Rick Steamboat tried to talk me out of it after he had personally invited me to Charlotte to Ivan's school. And I said, I can't get out of it now. He said, why? I said, practice starts Monday. I was on Steamboat's gym doorstep like Friday, telling him that.
Wow.
And unbeknown to me, I didn't have a phone back then. And unbeknown to me, my mother, who's passed now, she passed a year ago, called Ricky every single day for 3 months and talked to him. She called him so much that he came down here and met Mom, and they went out some. There was some stuff going on that is behind the scene kind of stuff, and Mama got to know Ricky real well, and that kind of thing. And they hung out some together, and she realized some things were going on and sent my cousin, who was a karate man and deputy sheriff man at the time, to Charlotte to meet Ricky, to make him reconsider doing anything to me physically while I was there. And that helped me a great deal. Ricky never laid a hand on me. He was disappointed in me, I think. But there were some things that Ricky should have told me probably once I got there that he failed to tell me. And had he told me some things, not leaving y'all too much in the dark, some other things might not would have transpired the way they did. But I apologize to the Dragon for my shortcomings at the end of our time together. And I hope he and I are in a good place now. I still respect him. But the word from the Dragon to Ric Flair was not to do it. Ivan said, try out and see, and then see what you have. And I did, and here I am, 35 years later, 92 to now. Yeah, about 35 years.
Understood. Let's move forward a little bit. I would like to bring up an image that I'm pretty sure you are very, very familiar with. So I'm going to go ahead and place this.
Cool,
this was when things transpired. I'd like to take you to 1997, Lewisburg Triangle Wrestling Federation Championship. You had pinned Pretty Boy Tracy Gilbert.
Yes, sir.
And that led to, obviously, you being champion.
Yes, sir.
What was the conversation like with Chief Wahoo McDaniel? Because I'm sure like you guys were close, and you and Koloff were close. What were some of the things that, like, who was the first person you talked to after you won the championship? Was it Wahoo? Was it Koloff? Who was it?
Probably Ivan, and then a short time after that, Wahoo. Wahoo didn't die until a few years later, and oddly enough, Wahoo wanted me in the industry better. I couldn't even afford boots at the time. He wanted me to get 3 pairs of boots. They were $220 at the time a piece, and that was a pile of money back in the day. And I couldn't afford the boots, so I continued to wrestle independently. And the conversation was, I had issues with Tracy paying me for my work. I did about 5 shows, 5 title defenses after that. And I said, Chief, what do I do? Wahoo was a real Indian chief of 2 Indian nations. And he said, keep his title belt. He said, he'll never forget he screwed you if you keep his belt. So in my trophy case, in my studio here, I've got the boy's belt still. To this day, I listen to Chief, and I got homie's belt still. But what homie doesn't realize is I made him known through these podcasts and different things online more than he would have been known probably in my haven't encountered him. There's even a couple pictures on Wikipedia about us. So far, no one's written about us, but they said with your pictures up there, it's more likely that somebody will eventually write about you. So we'll see.
I have a question
Yes, sir.
from my co-host. She said, "How do you feel about the way wrestling has evolved since your time?"
I like it. It's more competitive now than it was even 2 years ago when I first came back to watching it. Due to my involvement in wrestling podcast, so I'm on Gerald Bentley's Wrestling Spotlight every week, and I'm on Ring Takes with Daniel Dady every 3 weeks. And I was doing Wrestling Pedigree with Matty Hawkins out of Bristol, UK,
Mm-hmm.
every week until my man Matty took a job promotion and they gave him extra hours. So we're on hiatus right now until he until Matty can adjust his hours and get me back in there. It's getting more back. It seems to be getting more back to like it was in my time. They've got to do something. They've got to make it more attainable for the average bear to get into it, because where are you going to go now? You have the Performance Center in Florida. You have an independent wrestler named George South, who's a buddy of mine in Charlotte. You got school. Ricky Morton's closed down his school, so you can't go there now. 880 out of town, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, has a wrestling school. They keep you a year to graduate. I did it in 3 months, and I was gone. So I mean, you don't have as many options to make it as you did back in my day, and they've got to be friendlier to the public, I think, for it to continue to grow on the scale that they're hoping it'll grow. It can't be a hushed society,
Mm-hmm.
if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Side question. This is just going to catch you from the blind side.
Okay.
I noticed that you are a fan of the Chiefs,
Yes, sir.
and and not the
I
Panthers.
like the old man, so the old
So
man's awesome.
how did you get into the name the Man Eagle?
So there is an interesting story about that. I'm part Native American, and every Indian
Really?
tribe, yes, sir, and every Indian tribe has a golden eagle dance. I actually told this story to my daddy a couple months ago, and they don eagle feathers down their back in a cloak, and they doing it and golden eagle dance around the fire, the whole bit. Uh, all nations are different, and I took that image. And in my wrestling school, we had about 4 guys doing the eagle. We had Gorgeous George III, who you may know, Robbie Kadam, doing the eagle. We had the Fantastics at one time taking a look at the eagle a little bit. We had a couple other guys want to do the eagle. I said, well, God knows if I do it, what am I going to do? And my ex-wife and I were talking, and she liked the eagle, but she said put man in front of it. And I thought, yeah, that could be from my time around Ric Flair. And I combined it, Man Eagle.
Beautiful. Balance is something that we try to have within the wrestling business.
Yes,
So
sir.
what I'm going to do is try to balance some things out. I have some names here that I'm going to say to you. I would like you to give me just one word to describe all these people.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with a name, and you give me one word to describe that person. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Chief Wahoo McDaniel.
Legendary.
Bobby Fulton.
Explosive, just full of energy is the way I remember him.
Sting.
Over the top.
Ric Flair.
Come to town. Just whenever he showed up, boom. I mean, the buzz was there.
Charlotte Flair.
The queen of wrestling. She has lived up to her daddy's image.
Jeff Hardy.
My buddy Jeff Hardy. The rock star of wrestling, probably.
Matt Hardy.
Matt Hardy, the gentleman of wrestling, also my friend. You've never met a nicer person.
Okay. Abdullah the Butcher.
I never met Abdullah, but probably one of the best heels in the industry. A former tag team of mine actually knows. Former tag team partner of mine actually knows.
Jim Cornette.
The biggest mouth in wrestling, but likable. Very likable.
And finally, I'm going to end it with another name, Gerald Bentley.
The voice, I don't mean offense to this to anybody, but the Voice of Wrestling podcast. He has taken me under his wing for 2 years, and he's taught me presentation and has calmed me down. My guys at Ring Takes with Daniel Dady have done the same thing. They're very laid back on there. And between the two, that's gotten me to where I'm at right now.
Excellent.
Because I used to be like this. I used to be real stiff doing these things. But they were like, no, just lay back. It's like talking on the phone.
Yeah, be yourself. Yeah, it's all about being yourself. Speaking of being yourself, another one of my co-hosts who's he's a mailman, but he comes on the show with me every now and then. Kev, the postman, he said, great to have the Man Eagle on the show. My question is, who do you think is the best in-ring performer in the business today?
I ask myself that on occasion because I do commentary work for Gerald week in and week out. Usually I've taken a break the past couple of weeks from it where I do a commentary on the specific wrestler and try and point out their strengths. Best in-ring performer today. Male or female or both?
Whichever. You can do however you want to do it. This is your show.
Probably Roman Reigns followed by Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan can make you hate her or lover, and Roman has that same quality. So, in my opinion.
Now, let me ask you this. Where does Cody Rhodes fit in there?
The most determined wrestler in the game at the moment.
Did you ever, and I didn't see this, did you have any type of relationship with the Rhodes family at all? Did you ever have talks with Dusty or even
a little bit? I've got a neat story about that.
Okay.
So I was looking around to go to 3 schools. I was looking at gentleman Chris Adams in Texas. My family found that hard to believe because it was in Texas and so far away from home. Mm-hmm. I was looking at World Championship Wrestling, and I finally learned about Ivan through Ricky Steamboat, who invited me into the business. That Steamboat's footprint on my career. He invited me to Charlotte to meet Ivan, and I went, and the rest was wrestling history after that. But I called World Championship Wrestling because they had the power plant. Mm-hmm. And I got in touch with a man named Virgil. Now, back in the day, we didn't have the internet. We had nothing. Mm-hmm. We just had hearsay. I had met Dusty as a fan when Mama was dating Ric Flair, and occasionally we'd be on the plane together, going to wherever in wrestling during her time with Flair. And not necessarily Flair's jet all the time, but I'm talking commercial jets. And so I knew Dusty, but I talked to Virgil, and he invited me down that day to the power plant. Mm. He was talking as sane and calm as we are. I mean, he was totally him. This was a natural dude. And so I said, well, let me think about it, and I'll call you back in a couple of weeks. And he was real nice. He said, what is there to think about. I said, well, the financial end of it at this point in time, and he understood that. So I hung up the phone, and oddly enough, back in the day, Rick Steamboat was advertising his gym. You may or may not recall that on the air. They gave Rick Steamboat's number, and I thought, what are the odds of Steamboat being home now? I thought he's supposed to be home. So I grew a pair and picked up the phone and called to see if Rick Steamboat was home. And at 23, that was kind of intimidating. But anyway, sure enough, Steamboat answered his own phone. Surprise. But we talked a few minutes, and I said, well, I'm in talks with World Championship Wrestling, and it's between the two of y'all. And I said, I'm supposed to call him back. I said, so let me call him back, and then I'll call you back. So he said okay to that, and and I got Virgil again. He was the head booker down there, was all they told me. And he let out a little surprise during my phone call. When Virgil got to running, he sounded a little bit like Dusty. And I just quietly listened into the phone, thinking, who am I talking to? And anyway, so I hung up on good terms with him. And again, I said, I'm just about there. I've got to figure some things out if I'm going to you. And Virgil liked that. And I called Rick Steamboat up. I said, Ricky? He said, yeah. I said, it's Virgil Dusty Rose.
Okay.
He said, I had him. He said, I knew who I had been talking to.
Oh, man.
Had I connected that earlier on, I would have been on the Greyhound bus to Atlanta with just my wallet in my pocket. That's how determined I was to break into the business. But when I called back the third time, I couldn't get him. He'd stepped out to do some other promotions and different things. And I wasn't lying to Dusty. I mean, Food Line, my job at the time was Food Line. Mm-hmm. They had no businesses up in Atlanta at that time, and it was still growing. And Charlotte had a Food Line, so I knew if I got to Charlotte, I'd have a chance of eating a little bit. So I ended up in Charlotte because of bread and butter, and I had to get an apartment. So I spent 3 weeks on the sofa at Charlotte Fitness Center. True story. Till I found my apartment.
Part of the grind. It's definitely
part of the grind. I went there with that roof over my noggin and shot mama to pieces. But anyway, I said, I'm tired of having this talk with you. I'm gone. And I got my card. I went. First time on my own too.
hey, you did that though. You did do that. You conquered it.
I got the license right there behind me over my right shoulder.
Absolutely.
Signed by Ivan.
So when I said earlier in the intro, you come from a combat sports background, I found out that your grandfather boxed a little bit.
Yes, sir.
And I guess I'm assuming your dad did too.
Yes, sir.
You also are or were a blue belt in Taekwondo.
Yes, sir.
What is it about the art of combat that inspires you so much to get involved?
And I'm a purple belt in Hang Wang Warrior mixed karate.
Oh, okay.
Which we have a school here in town headed up by one of my best friends, Lyndon Johnson, who's a 10th degree black belt in it. Bad little dude. He comes out and sees me once in a while, and we yak back and forth and text during the week. So I've known him forever. I was actually in the same Taekwondo school he was.
Really?
Yeah, so we met there, and my cousin Fred Breen Jr., the late Fred Breen Jr. Of Goldsboro, North Carolina, taught us, and we were there together. But I've known Lyndon since, he was a kid before he even got into martial arts, if you can believe that.
So was it something you kind of just stepped into? Were you pushed into it? Were you kind of encouraged to do it? How did you
I
get into?
stepped into it. So with Fred having been my cousin, my mom dated him for 3 years, and he taught me during that time some. And then Fred opened up a school here in town. I have a gig top in my closet still from the school that shot ended. But and Fred's wife when she came to the house. But anyway, been a part of that family forever. But I'm not kin to Lyndon. Lyndon and I are just best friends. Um, Fred opened up a school here called Breeding's Taekwondo, and it was actually street fighting Taekwondo.
Ooh.
So when I got into it, I had a little background that no one knew I had in it before I stepped into it, which was 3 years around Fred. And he was one of my earliest mentors that I had was Karate Man Fred Breen. He was a 7th degree black belt. His family and I have been close over the years. So real cool to be connected to them biologically.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. Now, I noticed somewhere in the intro and also at another interview that you won a tag team championship with Jeff Hardy.
Yes, sir. So what happened was Matt was supposed to attend that night, but couldn't. And we showed up to a promoter in town. I don't want to be quoted as wrong. I cannot remember if it was a friend of mine, Mr. Greg Price, on this night or not, but it was a Charlotte promotion that was here. And Jeff didn't have a match to work, but was there and was already getting known at this point in time and was more known than I was. And Hardcore Hardy and Crash from the WWE showed up. And the promoter called the four of us backstage and said into his little office area that he had at the high school gym, whatever, and said, I don't have any belts for tonight, but we're going to have a ladder match. It's going to involve the four of you. Sonny, you're going to climb the ladder to the top. I hate heights. And you're going to touch the rope. That's not the cable that ain't going to have a belt hanging from it. So I said, okay. And begrudgingly. And they introduced us, and the place went bang when they realized I was local and had been doing it for a little while. Made a real spectacle of Jeff and I being in the ring. We got more cheers than the Hardcore Hardy and Crash got. And it was a one-night title belt holding event. And at the end, the man didn't have the money to pay us. So I looked at Jeff. I said, damn it, here we go again. And this was like 5 years into the game. And I do try not to use adjectives, but sometimes it's the only thing that fits. And I was sitting there going, I turned to the promoter and I said, could Jeff and I get a table and sign autographs and have pictures made? Yes, you can. We went out and made a couple $100 a piece off the table.
There you go.
In like 45 minutes. And that's the point I finally hit home to my buddy, Damas Luca, who I talk about on X, is the value of a merch table. We didn't have any merch, but we were approachable. They all came our way. The money got so crazy that I told Mom, I think we need to leave while the leave was doable. And I took Mom out to eat that night, I think.
Absolutely.
The way it worked.
And of course, you won a championship match in a ladder match with a Hardy. Like that's
Yes,
kind of so
I was actually there when the TLC match got started. So the way that came about was I would run to help Jeff. Back in the day, Jeff got beaten up all the time because he was an up and coming person. And the Hills hated that, literally. And I would run out to the ring and save him. And one night, Matt happened to be there, and Matt wasn't doing a whole lot. I said, "Are you going to help us any?" And Matt said, take this chair and take this table. And when I got the table down there with him. And Jeff and Matt said, Sonny, I'm going to have to ask you to pull back tonight because Jeff and I are going to do something new and we don't want you getting hurt. And I said, okay. And that was the first TLC match. I did not know this. My mom was a helicopter mom. She had Matt's phone number and would call him all the time when I was on the road with them to make certain nothing happened to me. And she had Jeff by his pockets. I mean, or Matt. She talked more to Matt than she did to Jeff. She spoke to Jeff and she liked Jeff, but her and Matt were like that. And Mama said he's too young to mess with son. And I said, I know that, Mom. But I thought that was the end of it. I didn't realize that they were on the phone back and forth to each other. And oddly enough, on my first match that Ivan and I were promoting here in town together, the only time he and I collaborated, the Hardys had called me to ask if they could work the show. And I told them I'd have to call Ivan and see. And we didn't have any availability for work other than a battle royal, and they weren't interested in that. And I was very nice to them. I said, if y'all want to bring a table and pop up a table, have at it. I said, I won't charge you. I said, I would use you, but it's not entirely my show. And they understood that. So that was how we initially met, was over the phone, and they called me. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
They had got my number.
Yeah, and Mama was making sure you were taken care of. You got to always have people watching your back, because she knew how the business was, and like
a little bit.
Yeah, right, to a degree. So throughout your career, and Nessa, I see your question. We're going to get to that next, but I wanted to ask this question to Mr. Cain. You've had so many different hardships. If you could just boil it down to one thing, what is the toughest decision you've ever had to make?
In life, period?
Your career.
In my career. When I stepped out a little bit to try and save a sinking marriage, that wasn't all my fault. And I realized later it wasn't all my fault, much later, that it took two to make it. And I didn't have any true family support at my career. Nobody wanted me to do it. Other than my mom in the very beginning of it, nobody stood in my corner. And I went out there and made it happen. Ivan never got me a single match. I got all my own matches.
Wow.
All of them.
I'm going to have him on the show one day and play some of these clips so I can definitely go over this with him, because we're going down memory lane here. But speaking of also going down memory lane, Nessa had a question where she said, so I saw on Twitter that you tweeted The Rock is on the line with Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Do you think Randy just started working with The Rock, or do you think he's been in contact with him this entire time?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say possibly this entire time. I heard on Instagram that there was probably another person that could be on the line with Randy, but they didn't say who. I don't think the WWE is going to let go of the Rock angle all of a sudden. Now, the Rock has had major motion pictures to go out and make. He's been real busy doing that. But it's unorthodox for the gentlemen that make the calls in the WWE, the 15 guys that sit down at that table, to all of a sudden just drop that entire storyline. I think they're going to bring him back. I think it's going to be a little more The Rock and Cody Rhodes. And I've even heard that Cody Rhodes was championing The Rock's return. So I'm betting it's The Rock that Orton was talking to.
The product of today and the product of yesterday are so fascinatingly different. What is one thing you like about the product now that you think would have worked back in your territory days?
The money.
Okay.
Plain and simple, the money.
Asked and answered. Next question.
The money, man. The
Hey,
money's there now. My buddy Chief Wahoo McDaniels went to a biker bar show one night and got mad because he wasn't paid that well, and he said that drinks were flowing, bikers were getting drunk, people were playing pool, and the money was there, but they weren't throwing it towards the wrestlers who had bought the crowd in. I do these podcast shows, and I'll just touch on this for a minute, in hopes of at some point getting paid for what I do here. I don't mind a freebie now and then, but it's about the money. I got March Bites coming up. We haven't discussed anything, and may not. But you want to get paid for your time. Your time is valuable and it's worth something. So
I have a friend, Jason.
yes, sir.
He is with podstars.net.
Cool.
A lot of retired wrestlers,
Yes, sir.
use his website to get paid for podcast interviews.
Cool.
If you want, I can put you in touch with him.
That'd be great.
I will. Okay, after this is over, we will do that because I want to make sure.
And I don't mean to sound like I'm all about that, because I'm not. You can ask anyone I work with. I fully understand that you're getting off the ground and different groups are getting off the ground. So I don't mind doing what I'm doing. That's not the point. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it comes a point in time when it's like, how many can you do?
Yeah.
I needed a game to keep me in the game, and I enjoy my association with everybody. So I've heard from both groups that they may be paying me at some point. Wrestling Pedigree said that they would like to pay me, so I'm not fussing. I'm just saying, I'd like to afford streaming services so I could see the matches and stuff on pay-per-view, and those things cost. So these are fun to do, though. These are something I look forward to sharing in and telling my story, because people don't think it's real. These are not age marks on my head.
Mm-mm.
On my head, these are cuts I got from Ivan. There's a chain mark I got from Ivan and another fella in the industry. Those are real marks, folks. And I could tell on TV from watching it when somebody's hurt for real. They don't get up as fast.
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean, if they lay there, the best seller in the game, women's division, in my opinion, is Chelsea Green. She just sells it like a shot, and that's the way you're supposed to sell pain. And I don't know why they give her such a hard time. They've given her a hard to do character, and I don't understand that, because in the ring she's wide open. She's a Charlotte Flair come to town. Another great in-ring performer is AEW's, if I can think of her name off the top of my head, Megan Bain.
Oh man, yeah,
off the chain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Megan Bain should be in WWE today.
I need a match between her and Rhea Ripley, or her and Charlotte. That would tear the house down.
I'm just not understanding it. I mean,
I don't get it either. I don't get it either.
My man Joe Bentley all the time to Light the Moon here asked me who I think is going to be called up, and I tell him Ethan Page and Ricky Saints and these guys, but they're all being worked so good now and next. I said, I can't help it. You've asked me, I've answered you. These are the ones I think are going to be called up next. So
who do you think that you're watching now would be exceptional during your time in the territory days, man or woman?
Man or woman?
Okay, I knew that was a good question.
That's a good question. During my time in the territory days, MJF, AEW would have been great. Woman speaking,
I mean, Charlotte Flair.
I like Charlotte, but probably Chelsea Green still trying to prove her name week in and week out. Charlotte doesn't have to do that as much these days. As Green's out there every week, just giving it her all with the horrible act. And it's not her fault. It's what they put you in before you go out, folks. They say do this, and you got to sell it. But it takes away from your ring work sometimes if you have a tough sell.
Want to give a big shout out to Rikarsha. Rikarsha is actually down in Alabama.
Yes, sir.
So we have a lot of southern followers. I gotta ask this because it's kind of been weighing on me. After a match or after a workout, what is the number one meal that you want to have to just like your comfort food? What is
steak? Steak. I'm a steak man. I like steak.
How do you like your steak?
Well done.
You like it well done.
Out and about because you can't get it cut the way you cook it at home. So, well, if you don't believe that, say I want it medium rare to somebody and see what happens.
I prefer my steak medium. I do not want it medium rare. We were talking about obviously the territory days.
Yes, sir.
And we kind of, transitioned a little bit. So the product now and the product back then, obviously it coincides. Let's talk a little bit about what you did in the ring. Now we talked about your martial arts background.
Yes, sir.
How does that compare with pro wrestling? What are the similarities and the differences between martial arts and pro wrestling, and how did you find a way to incorporate that into your style?
So you have throws and blows that are basically similar. You can hit a man with a closed fist. You can hit a man with a chop. Mm-hmm. Chops will hurt worse than the closed fist. I got hit wrong in the chest by a lot of people, and Wahoo reiterated to me how to chop someone in the chest perfectly every time. And he only had to tell me twice at the utmost, and I had it. And I'll tell you a true Wahoo McDaniel story.
Go ahead.
We had a shooter in the industry named the Iron Chief. I don't know what happened to the Iron Chief. He wrestled for Carolina Championship Wrestling tonight. I can't find anything on him. I can't find an obituary on him. But I have looked. I knew his family. And I was up and coming in CCWA at the time. And they paired me against the Iron Chief. Iron Chief had been shot in his right hand. And his right hand was his chopping hand. And he just tore me up the first night I fought him and beat me. And I think I have it on tape. But anyway, I called Wahoo, or Wahoo called me that week and said, I heard you got beat. And I said, by goodness. I said, yes, sir. And he said, well, get ready to face him again because it's going to happen. I said, what you doing? What are you doing still poking into my game, sir? And he said, that's my job. And I said, okay. I didn't ask, but I suspected Mama was on the phone. And about a month later, I showed up on a CCWA show and got in the ring with Chief and tore him up.
Oh,
during that match and beat him. And my wife and I were supposed to have gotten married at a show that he was on. The marriage didn't go down. This was in Wilmington, North Carolina, the last night that my wife attended the show with me. She got put out by it. And that was the last time I saw Chief. And that was about 95. I haven't heard. The only thing I heard about it was the industry had not been kind to him after that. But he's not online anywhere. I have looked. I've gone to cagematches.com and everywhere trying to find it.
Okay. Sorry to hear that. Yeah, hopefully we can find out some information. Give me 1 second. My internet connection just kind of buffered. Just 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, we're good. Sorry about that.
All
Can
right.
you we still good? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I
All
got
right. All right. So, we've talked a lot. I've actually enjoyed this conversation. I've actually enjoyed this conversation. What I did not find though, um, could you tell me how you came up with your finisher and the name of it?
So I used a flying lariat move at the end
Mhm.
where I would leap as high as I could and give a clothesline basically to whoever I was in there with after throwing them into the ropes. And I would mix that up 2 or 3 different ways. I would either do a roll up, which worked a lot of times because after knocking your opponent off balance, you could pin them that way. Or I would do that, then do a figure 4, which would scare certain people. I was in Wilmington, North Carolina, wrestling a guy in the ring, and I was about to go into the 4. I'd beat them down in a matter of 10, 12 minutes. And I started to break out into the figure 4. He urinated on himself before I could get into the figure 4.
What?
Yes, sir. And I let him go and tag out. He had gotten so blown during the match and during the seriousness of the match that he urinated on himself. I said, I'm not going to play into that. I
Hell
said, I
no.
don't know what that man's got. Tag team partner got all mad about it, but that was okay.
Hey, you got to get
We
in where
still
you fit
won,
in.
but
He I think that just kind of pissed you off even more. Like not no pun intended, but like literally.
literally.
Uh
So
Carolina is littered with different wrestlers and littered with different lineage of wrestling.
yes,
And
sir.
obviously you fit in there. So
Thank you.
who is your all-time Mount Rushmore of just Carolina wrestlers? Just Carolina.
Have to pause a minute and think on that.
Take your time. That's
Uh,
that's why we ask these questions. We want the real answer.
Wahoo McDaniels,
Mhm.
Ricky Steamboat, Flair, and probably Jeff Hardy.
And with you putting Ric Flair up there, I guess by a caveat, Charlotte is like right under that too
Yes,
because
sir.
she has to be. And
Big fan of Charlotte. I'm going to tell her something when I meet her. There are a slew of copycat people claiming to be her on different sites, and they are not her.
mhm,
So
none of them.
um, I just find that crazy that somebody would go out there and copycat somebody like that
It's very
to
weird to
try and
me.
draw attention to their self. And I'm going to tell her how hard I've worked at trying to get to meet her in person. I'd gone to her in jail. I saw her when she was in jail till I met her. I saw her first. So I wrestled Brad Kane, who has a wrestling school. He taught Charlotte Flair.
Mhm.
And I was just going around the internet one night. Another true story. This was however many years ago. Flair's Charlotte has been in the game, and it's been a while now. But this was her starting out, and just by the way she was rolling in the ring that night, taking her bumps, and listening to her daddy in the corner of the ring, I told everyone I knew. I said she's going to be huge. How can you tell? You just can. I mean, you walk out and it's the way somebody carries herself. It's the way somebody like me continues to reinvent themselves. They just have an air about them. That you've been doing this a little bit now. Don't the wrestlers just have a glow or something that other
Yeah.
wrestlers don't have?
I mean, think about it. What gave it away? You know,
Yeah.
was it the glow? Was it the last name? Is it the size? Is it the presentation?
For me, it was the way she was working in the ring that made me think that she was going to take it seriously. And then when I learned she had a long gymnastics background, I said she is an adapter. I said her daddy nearly died in a plane crash. I said she'll be back, and now she's doing back moonsaults off the top turnbuckle. Her and Blitz are in the heat for the tag titles again, and she's finally becoming a fan favorite, and she's tried to do that for 15 years, be a fan favorite, or however long it's been. But I saw her first week or two of training on YouTube, but it's still up there, I think.
That's I mean, and you know, and so I apologize. It had to reboot, so but we're back up. We have a big storm here, so I'm trying to keep up with
I
you.
went through that 2 nights ago here.
Was it did you get the high winds too?
Little bit, yes, sir.
Yeah, we had there's a lady across the street. There were high winds and a tree just like went right into her house.
Mm,
And I think the only thing we got were like our fence got bent, and that was like an easy fix. What also is an easy fix is fixing to adapt to the changing of the times. And I'm sure that there were many times that you had to adapt.
many.
What with adapting, there comes misconceptions from the populace, from the fans.
Yes, sir.
What is the biggest misconception fans have about wrestling that they still get wrong today?
That it's not real. That it's not real.
Oh,
I'm going to write a book here at some point called "Pulling the Curtain Back," and I'm going to talk about the realness of the game and how the game should be done, and things that I caught in the ring that should have been fake, that it ended up being real. Where I got some of these beauty marks on my head from, and different little things, and the moves are genuinely real. Yes, they know how to block, but you are in there with people that you've worked one time, everybody, and you don't know how they are. You better hope you know how to block, because if
yeah.
you don't, your head's gone.
Everybody don't train the same. I
They
remember
don't.
I was at NWA Exodus Pro I was not training to be a wrestler, but I said, you know, I love the business so much. I'm like, I want to take a bump. So I get in there, I take my first bump, and I go, ooh, that felt good, but ooh, did that hurt? I'm gonna feel that in the morning. So then guys like, take
I
another
walk
one.
a little different now from years of having fallen in the ring, so that's okay. But Mr. Fred, my late cousin, actually said one night at the local, and I'll put this out there, at the local Piggly Wiggly here, I ran into him. He said, "Why did I walk the way I did?" I said, "From hitting the ring, from years of hitting the ring ropes and getting hurt from it, and from figure fours and taking bumps."
Mhm.
I said, "It catches up to you." I said, "That stuff's more real than y'all think."
Absolutely.
And
And
he never would try me one on one, because in the back of his mind he knew I knew how to wrestle, and he didn't. So that kind of kept it even.
I just say you dealing with a shooter over here.
Yes, sir. Versus all that he knew. I mean, it would have been a fight, no doubt. But
Yeah, I got my money on you. And
yes,
the funny fact is that you said Piggly Wiggly. I
yes.
have actually been to a Piggly Wiggly. We don't have one up here in Ohio, but I have been
Well,
inside
I've
of a.
been to the owner down here twice, and it's a family thing down here, boy. They are proud of their Piggly Wiggly. So
I love it. I love it. So with this segment, because we're gonna wrap up here.
yes, sir.
I've had a blast, so I hope you've enjoyed your time here
Yes,
too.
sir.
We have a segment in on this show where we call it the roses. So all I do is just say, Mr. Cain, wow, I admire the fact that you're putting yourself out there. You are seriously undervaluing and underselling what you've done and what you've given to the business. You have a vast wealth of knowledge. I
Thank you.
feel I feel like the fact that the fact that you were willing and volunteered to come on this show, and we don't have that big of a following, shows that that's the kind of person that you are, a big heart. Obviously, you were raised by a loving mother who would not let you out of your sight,
A
because
helicopter mom for sure.
helicopter mom for sure. Like, you could not go anywhere. You couldn't breathe wrong
That's an
without.
understatement.
Yeah. And that's a testament to who you are as a human being and what you were willing to do. You sacrificed your life to
Yes,
make
sir.
a name for yourself, and you did it with such quote unquote flair that now you're watching the stars of tomorrow take forth all the sacrifice that you made, and you're following the product, and it's a testament to who you are as a performer,
Thank you.
as a man, as a combat sports athlete. You truly are an eagle, truly are the man eagle.
Thank
You soared high, and I am honored to be in your presence, to have this legendary walking legend come to life on our show. So I want to thank you for being part of this. And,
I'd like to
hopefully.
add one little thing. I'm here because of a friend of mine here in town. I'm not going to say his name. He probably wouldn't want to be known, but he came over to the house one day. This was some years of a drought of my wrestling. I'd always said that I was going back into wrestling, and I said this to Mom before she passed,
Mm,
and she knew I was. And I said, and he and I took a drive. He's my best friend here in town. He'll know who he is.
mhm.
And we drove that day, and he said, "I think you ought to reach out to." He said, "I think you ought to reach out to Wrestling Podcast." I said, "How do you do that?" He said, "You go on X and you just start reaching out and see what happens." And that
Mm.
was 2 years ago. And
Wow.
we're still best friends to the point that when I do a commentary review, he edits my commentary review weekly for me before I go on there with it. And without his having pushed me into this, I wouldn't be here tonight. I'd still be hunting a way to get back in. And I'm thankful to all the fans who support me. I've got about 25 close friends here in town, cousins and the like, that I send video clips to every week when I make stuff. They support me now. And I'd like to say that no one's laughing at me now. When I started this in around 92, and I was so small and trying to grow into my manly body, few people were laughing still. But over the years, that has changed. And folks, if you stay with the dream and keep going up, people will come back to you sometimes. And I'm lucky and blessed to have those 25 people on my phone that I deal with on a weekly basis now. So,
Have you thought about starting your own podcast, like just your own podcast?
well, I had Kane Uncut with Matty Hawkins, and I'm going to see how that goes before I do anything on my own. Elsewise, I have a sick parent now. My father's ill at this moment, so I'm taking care of him. But I'm just enjoying piggybacking off of current podcast and being invited on the shows. It's an enjoyment. So what happened to me was my family has died off. There are about four of us left in the immediate family. None of them like to talk about wrestling, so I had to go out and find people literally that still like to talk about wrestling to keep me going.
That's
And
understandable.
I have done so, and it's just amazing. I was voted outstanding wrestler of the week four different times on three different shows. Uh, During the 2 years that I've been doing this, I'm expecting another belt to come in from Bristol, UK, any day now. That I took that honor in Bristol on Matty Hawkins wrestling pedigree. I just try to love everybody. We all have ups and downs. I just try and stay more up than down. And Mama told me before she passed, when she was still speaking, she said, I understand a little bit, she said, about podcasting. She said, I don't know all of it like I did the wrestling. She said, but if you stay with it, I think you'll go someplace in it. And she died about 2 weeks after that. So
Damn,
that was our last talk.
Well, you are carrying
Whatever.
on her last words, and I am going to put you in touch with Jason from
Cool.
Podstars, because I believe you deserve that. And
Thank you.
if anybody has the wrestling knowledge and territory knowledge and just a knack for the business, it's definitely you.
And I will get with you after we go off air for a few minutes, but I'd like to come back to the show and help out with the show after this, and maybe do a weekly segment or something, try and get you guys off the ground. My buddies tell me that when I'm on there, they could definitely see an uptick. And from Daniel Dady and Ring Takes, I reposted one of their, what do you guys call it, thumbnails, posters on my ex. And this is no lie, in 6 days, it reached 1,000 views.
Oh, wow.
It was a video, and it hit 1,000 views on X. First time it's ever gone that high. 6 days.
Well, I want to thank you. We'll definitely talk. We'll definitely have you back. I want to thank you, Sonny, for coming by. Make sure that you follow Sonny Cain on all platforms. Definitely follow him on Twitter. He's always live tweeting about wrestling. So always, like, he does not miss anything. He watches.
There's no one here to talk to about it, man.
Yeah, and it's like
something to get it out of us.
It's like, come on, like you got wrestling royalty right here. Like, come on, like, talk to him.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for coming out. Thank the chat for coming out. Next week, I have some plans for next week. We still got our big interview coming up on April 15th. More on that later. For the Honorable Sonny Cain, the Man Eagle Sonny Cain, I am also Dallas Cash. Don't forget to follow Nessa, Kev, and Angel Rose. Shout out to Angel. She's watching this from Japan. She is in Japan right now.
Cool.
I don't know how she got the money to go out there. God forbid. Yeah, right. And we'll bring you back for Mania trivia.
Okay.
We do Mania trivia if you want to come through for that.
Absolutely.